Am I the antagonist boycotting sister's wedding since she accused my wife of fraud? I am a 35-year-old male who comes from a family that values intellectual superiority. I married into a family with a strong blue-collar background. Throughout my adult life, my older sister, who is 38, has always disapproved of my partners. I met my wife while she was in college, and I was serving in the Navy. My sister immediately disliked my wife, considering her to be overly cheerful and lacking refinement, and she believed that my wife was a negative influence on me. 4 years ago, my wife suffered a traumatic brain injury. This happened around the time we conceived our second child, so we initially attributed her dizziness, headaches, and other symptoms to her pregnancy. However, about a year after giving birth, her symptoms persisted, and she began to schedule medical appointments to get checked out. At that time, my wife was still in the Navy, while I had separated and enrolled in graduate school. Over the next 18 months or so, my wife went through a grueling process of attending numerous appointments, undergoing tests and examinations, consulting with specialists, and undergoing more tests and consultations. Finally, it was determined that my wife has a rare neurological condition that, to be honest, I don't fully comprehend. As a result, she was medically retired and classified as a disabled veteran. Throughout this entire process, my sister's idea of showing support was to downplay the situation, assuring me that it was probably nothing to worry about. Recently, I was having a conversation with my sister. My wife had taken on a temporary job delivering packages during the holiday season, but she called out on Black Friday to spend more time with her parents. My sister made a comment insinuating that my wife suddenly became ill just because she didn't feel like working and accused her of doing the same thing in order to get medically retired from the Navy. As per my family's custom, my response was equally snarky. I reminded my sister, who is a nephrologist, that my wife had suffered a head injury, not kidney damage, and that she had no authority to speak on the matter. My sister then claimed that my wife took so long to get diagnosed because she was doctor shopping for the diagnosis she wanted. Frustrated, I retorted that if I were being paid to sit in an office and tell people to continue with dialysis, I wouldn't need personal days either. I had previously confronted both my sister and mother about their accusations that my wife was exploiting the system and needed to tough it out. After some intense arguments, they had improved and learned to keep their opinions to themselves, which is no small feat considering my family. However, this recent incident was a severe blow. My sister is getting married in September, and I informed her that unless she apologizes and acknowledges that she knows nothing about my wife's medical history, we will not be attending the wedding. Am I overreacting by boycotting my sister's wedding, which is such an important day for her? Am I the jerk for choosing this event as the one not to attend? It is completely understandable that you are hurt and frustrated by your sister's continuous negative and ignorant remarks about your wife's health issues. Your sister and mother have shown a lack of empathy and understanding, and their remarks are disrespectful and hurtful. Boycotting your sister's wedding might be seen as a strong response, but it is important to set boundaries and prioritize your own mental well-being. Attending an event where your sister and others are openly disrespectful towards your wife's health could cause unnecessary stress and tension for you and your wife. By making it clear that an apology and acknowledgement of their ignorance is necessary for your attendance, you are standing up for your wife and setting a boundary that should be respected. It is important to remember that your family's negative views do not define your wife's worth, and it is crucial to surround yourselves with people who are understanding and supportive. Am I the antagonist for not sharing my daughter's school play video with my father after he slept through it? My father, 68 years old, moved to a different country 8 years ago. He tries to visit whenever he can, and I try to help him have as much of a relationship with my children, 9-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl, and baby girl, as possible. Whenever he visits, however, he tends to act a bit entitled. He either sleeps or hangs out with his old friends in the mornings and afternoons, doesn't help me with anything I ask him to, and then gets annoyed when he wants to do something at 9 p.m. and the kids are too tired. His excuses are always that he's exhausted from traveling and deserves to get some rest and spend time with friends he never gets to see anymore. My kids are always excited when my dad visits, but at this point, they see him more when he's FaceTiming us from a different hemisphere than when he's staying in our guest room. Anyway, he is visiting us now to meet my youngest daughter, who was born in September. He got here 2 weeks ago and will fly back home in a few days. I've been trying to get him to spend more time with my kids this time around, but he still goes out a lot. My older daughter had her first ever school play on Saturday. She was really excited about it and invited my father. He promised her he would come. The day before the play, my father went out with his friends and didn't come back until 3 a.m. The play started at 11 a.m. and we had to get there 30 minutes earlier. In total, he must have gotten about 6 hours of sleep. When we, my dad, my husband, my son, and me got there, we sat at one of the first rows. My daughter had asked us to. The play was 40 minutes long. My father fell asleep less than 15 minutes in. I woke him up. He slept again. He snores loudly when he sleeps, so I kept waking him up whenever he slept. Near the end of the play, I was too late to wake him, and he let out a snore that was so loud that some of the kids on the stage looked over at us. At that, I hit his arm a little harder, and he didn't fall back asleep. My husband and I haven't mentioned anything to my daughter, but it's obvious she noticed. She was heartbroken after the play and dismissed any of our attempts to talk about it. My husband filmed the play for my mom and stepdad, who were with our baby during it. Instantly after the play, my dad asked if he could have the video too, since he didn't watch most of the play. We're not sharing it with him. I told him that he had the opportunity to watch it live, and instead ruined the experience for all of us, especially my daughter. He doesn't deserve to watch what he missed just because he decided to stay out late the night before. My dad is angry. He's telling me and my husband that we're robbing him of his role in my daughter's life. He also maintains the excuse that he was exhausted during the play and needed to get some rest. I really don't think we're the assholes, but with how tense things have been getting, it might be easier to just let him watch the video. Am I the asshole? It's clear that your father is being selfish and prioritizing his own desires over spending quality time with your children. It's understandable that he may be tired from traveling, but if he wants to be involved in their lives, he needs to make a better effort to prioritize them during his visits. By falling asleep at your daughter's school play and showing no remorse or understanding of the impact it had on her, he is not respecting their importance in his life. It's completely reasonable for you to withhold the video as a consequence of his actions. Aita for complaining because I didn't like the way my mom celebrated my birthday. This was back in May, but I've been thinking about it recently. My birthday is on May 21st, and during that month, my sister moved to a different state. We went to visit her for 4 days, May 10th, 14th. My mom told me that the trip was my birthday present, even though it was mainly about my sister, which she made clear multiple times. I didn't try to make it all about me, but I did ask to go to a trampoline park, get a hoodie from the outlet, and choose a museum to visit since we were supposed to go to 3. I only got the hoodie, but I had to return it. My mom makes a lot of money, but she has 4 kids, including me, and she often talks about how expensive it is. I can understand that the trip was costly because of the travel, hotel, museum fees, and dinners, but I think it would have been better if she had just said, "I'm sorry, Ella, I spent a lot of money this month, so I can't give you a birthday present this year." Instead, she said the trip was my present, even though it was mainly about my sister. I would have been happy with a small gesture like a lollipop, or at least some acknowledgement of my birthday, like a happy birthday, Ella. I was upset with my mom for about 2 days, and I tried to talk to her about how I felt, but she interrupted me and told me to be grateful that I got to travel for my birthday, even though it wasn't really my birthday. I'm happy that I got to visit a new state, and I understand that raising kids is expensive. It's not a huge deal, but it made me feel bad. I would have understood if she had just been honest with me. It's not like I'm upset because my mom only took me to another state for my birthday and spent so much money. It's more about the fact that she explicitly stated that the trip was my birthday present, and then it ended up being about my sister. I just wanted some kind of recognition or birthday wish. During the trip, I was invited to my friend's birthday party at a trampoline park. This made me realize that I really wanted to go to a trampoline park, especially since I missed out on it during our family trip. I do gymnastics and love trampoline parks. I know it would have been mean to ask to go to one during our trip since the purpose was to help my sister, but looking back, I think I would have preferred to stay with my dad and attend my friend's party. I'm not sure if it would have been an option, but if I had known, I might have asked to stay. In hindsight, I understand that you don't have to do something for someone's birthday, and I realize that I may have come across as bratty and rude by complaining just because I didn't get my way. It's not as big of a deal as I thought it was at the time. However, I still wonder if it's okay to feel a little bit mad without showing it, or if that would just be considered bratty behavior. Was I in the wrong here? It is understandable that you were disappointed and felt neglected on your birthday. While it is true that birthdays are not obligatory to celebrate, it would have been considerate for your mom to at least acknowledge your birthday and make it about you in some way, especially since she explicitly said the trip was your present. It is not bratty to feel upset when your expectations are not met, especially when it comes to something as special as your birthday. However, it is important to approach this situation with understanding and empathy towards your mom's financial situation. It seems like you are aware of the costs involved and would have been grateful for even a small gesture. It might be worth having a calm and respectful conversation with your mom, expressing your feelings and concerns about feeling neglected on your birthday. It is possible that she did not realize the impact her words had on you. Remember to listen to her perspective as well and try to find a solution that works for both of you. In the future, it could be helpful to have open communication about expectations and plans for special occasions like birthdays to avoid any misunderstandings. Would I be the antagonist if I called a little girl's mother to ask why son wasn't invited to her birthday? I, a 28-year-old female, have twin boys named Jude and Jonah who are 5 years old. They attend a private Jewish kindergarten where it's customary to invite the entire class to birthday parties. Although it might even be a school rule, I don't think I'll involve the school in this situation. Jude and Jonah are well-mannered and reserved. I may be biased, but they've always had positive relationships with their peers and have never been involved in any conflicts. Jude, however, struggles with reading, and despite hiring a tutor, he still finds it challenging. At our synagogue, the restroom signs simply say men and women without any pictures. These are single bathrooms. 2 weeks ago, Jude accidentally entered the women's restroom. It seems that the door wasn't properly locked, and he encountered a woman named Jess, who is another mother from his class. He quickly exited, closed the door, and apologized. Jude immediately came to me and shared what had happened, feeling embarrassed. I reassured him that it wasn't a big deal and reminded him to knock next time. I explained that the longer word on the door indicates it's for women. He understood and mentioned that he thought it would be a regular public restroom with stalls, which seems fair, so I left it at that. Afterward, Jess approached me to discuss the incident and insisted that Jude needed to be punished. She considered it highly inappropriate. I assured her that Jude hadn't known and wouldn't repeat the mistake. However, she argued that there's no way he can't read men and women and mentioned that her daughter can read it. She told me I needed to address this behavior promptly. As a younger parent, I often feel condescended by other parents at the school. Therefore, I simply agreed to handle it myself and let the conversation end there. On Friday, Jess's daughter handed out birthday invitations and included Jonah but not Jude. Both of my sons questioned her about it, and she explained that her mother instructed her not to invite Jude without giving a reason. This made Jude cry the entire day, but he refused to tell anyone why, as he didn't want to be seen as a tattletale. I asked Jude if anything else had occurred between them, and he promised me it hadn't. He even mentioned that they had been playing together during recess all week. Jess's daughter attempted to cheer him up by suggesting ways to sneak him into the party. To be honest, I am furious about this situation. I wouldn't have minded if she hadn't invited either of them, but intentionally excluding one twin while including the other is incredibly rude and passive-aggressive. I'm contemplating calling Jess to discuss this matter, as I find it unreasonable to hold such a grudge against a 5-year-old. However, I wonder if confronting her would make me seem like the one in the wrong. Another option I'm considering is declining Jonah's invitation. I believe the birthday party rule is silly, and it's ultimately her decision whom to invite. Nevertheless, this situation seems utterly absurd. Was in the wrong here? It is understandable that Jude accidentally walked into the women's bathroom and it was an innocent mistake. As a responsible parent, you addressed the situation with Jude and ensured that he understood the appropriate behavior. Jess's reaction was overly harsh and unreasonable, especially considering that Jude is still learning to read. Her insistence on punishing Jude and not accepting your assurance that it was an accident is unfair. Additionally, by excluding only Jude from the birthday party invitations, Jess is targeting a 5-year-old child, which is inappropriate and hurtful. It seems like she's holding a grudge against Jude for something that was unintentional and has no relation to their interaction as children. It is your right as a parent to be upset and advocating for your child. However, instead of calling Jess to confront her, I would suggest reaching out to her calmly and expressing your concerns regarding the situation. It is important to communicate effectively and try to find a resolution rather than escalating the situation.